YouTube viewers, Christina Martin here. So today I am chatting to Gigi Young, who is an intuitive consultant and offers readings through her website, gigiyoung.com. She makes really wonderful, informative videos on YouTube about spirituality and offers practical advice on how to navigate through this world. So go check them out and go check out her website and her Facebook. I'll post the links below this video. So hey Gigi, how are you today?
I'm well. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. Okay, so my first question is how did you awaken? Like, tell me more about your spiritual journey. Were you a spiritual child?
Yeah, I was. I feel like I was like the weird kid, for sure I was. But I didn't grow up in a very accepting household, so I really suppressed all of my abilities and kind of who I was until I actually got out of the house, was on my own, and then everything kind of came back. So that's sort of the basis of where I come from, I guess, is I've had to kind of get everything back after suppressing it for a long time. Yeah.
Wow, that's similar to me. And you're Canadian.
I am. I'm from BC. You're from
Nice.
BC.
Yeah. People are always like, oh, those Americans, you quick talking Americans. And I'm like, I'm Canadian. Thank you very much. I'm proud to be Canadian.
Me too.
So you're obviously very in touch with your intuition. What would you say your main psychic gifts are?
I think that my main ones would be probably claircognizance and also being an empath. So like the most subtle ones are probably the ones I identify with the most.
What is claircognizance for people who don't know what that is?
Okay, so claircognizance is the direct downloading of information, and it feels like it's your own thought. It feels like it's your own information. It comes in your own voice, and when you really examine it, there's no way you could know it. You know, so it's knowing things that you probably shouldn't know, have no ability to know, but you know. And also a lot of the time, claircognizant information can come in huge blocks of frequency that can take sometimes months or even years to download as well and to fully integrate into your consciousness. Yeah. So
Wow.
That's claircognizant. That's how I identify with it. Yeah.
That's such a good explanation. I love your explanations of all the psychic gifts. I was watching your video about all the different clairs, and I was like, you explain things so logically. Thank you so much. And yeah, so would you say you're an empath, or like, can you sense other people's energy?
Yes, I definitely can, especially when I'm doing readings. I really use empathic ability when I'm doing readings, so I really just kind of get into people as much as I possibly can and, you know, sort of feel where their heart is, feel how their heart is interacting with the world, how it's flowing, what emotions are going through there, and just trying to get into balance. So I definitely connect really closely on an empathic level. Yeah, for sure.
Wow.
What about you?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm definitely an empath. For a long time, I didn't understand what that meant, and then all this information on YouTube and on the internet started coming out, and I was like, okay, that's me. And a healer I went to was like, oh, you can actually feel people's thoughts and their emotions, and that's why, you know, you're so sensitive. I have a moon in Pisces, so I can feel everything.
Me too.
Oh, no way! Awesome. Okay, so yeah, you're psychic naturally, and yeah, so I learned that I was actually taking on people's energy, and we can sort of take in information in all these different ways, not just with our eyes and our ears. We're so, you know, we're much more sensitive than we're led to believe. And yeah, I would say I'm very empathic. So yeah.
I feel that you are as well.
Thank you.
I feel that the blue is an indicator because blue is like Pisces, like water, emotion.
Yeah, and I'm a Scorpio too. Well, it's Libra Scorpio, so I'm like just all freaking emotions. What's your zodiac sign?
I'm an Aries sun.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. So like super intuitive. That's why you talk so well. You're like, you're just so quick. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Okay, so let's see. Maybe we'll talk about astrology then. I was watching let me just fix the camera here. I was watching one of your videos about astrology, which was really amazing. And you said how if people have retrograde planets, they have to get creative to express their energy. And that was so appropriate for me because I have Mars retrograde, and when I'm like attracted to someone, like I don't even know what to do with my emotions. I just like feel it, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So then I just like sing or like do art and express it that way. I'm not like other people, I guess. But yeah, what do you think about astrology in general?
I love astrology. I think astrology is such an amazing way to study the personality and our connection with the universe. And I think it's such a good example of how everything's like a holograph of everything else. And if you really get into astrology, like you really study your charts, I feel like there's no way you can't resonate with astrology or believe astrology.
I know. For the people who are like, I don't believe in that. I'm like, well, show me your birth chart, and I'm going to tell you about your mother and your father and your past lives and your soul journey. And they're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, it's written in the stars.
Exactly. It's so true, and it's so helpful into understanding who you are, and also, like you were saying, with relationships, like how you interact with other people. If you can get your astrological chart out and put it next to your friend or your parent or your partner, you will see how you naturally are going to react with each other.
Yeah.
So,
Do you
really
know?
informative.
Do you know what like your chart is? Do you know like your Mars or your Venus
Um,
or your
my
ascendant? It's okay if you don't remember. It's hard to remember all
I
of
do.
them.
Well, I do know. My my Mars is in Aries.
Oh, me too.
Oh,
Yeah.
and then my
No
my.
wonder. I was like, oh, this girl's like has a similar energy to me, so that's funny.
Mhm. I know. I feel that with us as well. And then my Venus, I think it's in Aries or Pisces.
Oh,
Yeah. Especially, I always get my Vedic chart sometimes mashed up with my Western.
yeah, they're all different. They're
Yeah.
different. So let's see. I'm gonna switch the topic now because why not? So you talk a lot about extraterrestrial races on your channel often. How did you first start becoming aware of their presence, and how do you interact with them? Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So at first, I felt like aliens were for like science fiction people, and they were not spiritual. Like I had categories in my mind, and I didn't think that aliens were like a spiritual guide. I didn't think that they were. I just didn't put them in that category. And I was actually traveling, and I was actually in Tokyo, and I was working, and I was so homesick, and I had not heard the English language for a long time. So what I would do is I would just go and like meditate for like 45 minutes a day because I just couldn't do anything else. It was
Yeah.
kind of like forced on me. And in a meditation, I started to get the word written out and then said auditorily, Pleiades.
Hmm.
Pleiades.
Wow.
Pleiades. Yeah, and I was like, what's that? You
Yeah.
know, and I ignored it.
Yeah.
I ignored it. And then eventually one night, my computer started playing a video or talking about Pleiadians just by itself.
Wow. That's
And I was like,
trippy.
okay, yeah. And I was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah. I tried to ignore, all that stuff for a long time. I was like, okay, yeah, that's, for sci-fi nerd people. I'm not that way, even though I am. But
Yeah.
I was like, oh, aliens are, they're just in movies and stuff. And I then, I started seeing like ships and stuff and started getting the same kind of thing as what you're talking about, just sort of downloads of information and hearing things with telepathy. I know people don't understand that, but I know you do. And sort of channeling, and it made me really, it made me more confident and made me understand my abilities more, or have confidence in my abilities more when things I would channel or download would sync up with like history, or I would receive words and they'd be like sounds in ancient languages and stuff. So what's going on with people, like maybe they don't quite understand it yet with the human mind because it's so limited, but it's happening. People are connecting to all these different beings in other dimensions. So my next question, sorry I'm talking so much. My next
No, no.
Okay, so my next question would be, how do our viewers start connecting to their angels or their guides or all these different sort of beings who are maybe not embodied or in another place?
Mm-hmm. So I think the first thing to really be the foundation for connecting with guides or angels, whether it be ET or human or however they appear to you, is to know that this is a natural process. This is a natural thing that everybody can do, and I believe everybody will do. I believe this is where we're going in humanity. So to really understand that and know that is the first step. It's not something that special people can do. No, not at all. And I think that that's really helpful. And then the second thing I would say would be to get good at meditating. Meditating is the quality of your mind. It's the quality of your energy. It's your frequency. So much of connecting with guides is shifting your frequency, is getting it into a point, a level of coherence where they can actually perceive it and you can perceive them. If we're going out for a normal day, driving around, getting groceries, thinking about how much someone pissed us off yesterday, we're not in the frequency of our guides. We're not quite there. So you have to kind of elevate your consciousness and then set the intention to connect, and then it'll unfold to you.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Basically, put yourself on the vibration of what you want to connect to. That makes total logical sense. Yeah.
And being able to hold focus.
Oh.
So holding a focus point, being able to hold a focus point, and mantras are good with that.
Yeah.
Being able to hold a focus point is so important because a lot of the times people will start to connect with their guides and they'll get an image or a sound, but they won't be able to complete the image or complete the sound or ground the connection.
Yeah.
And so they're actually making it, but they don't know. And so if you can hold a focus, you'll actually hold your connection.
Oh, that's a good point, because another psychic person I was chatting to said that was so important too. And he said, even trying in meditation to hold an image for like 10 seconds, you need to be able to hold it for like that long in order to have those connections and then, hold on to them and integrate them. So that makes a lot of sense. Good advice. Okay. So what is the higher self and how can we start merging with that and embodying that?
Yeah. So the higher self, for me anyway, I think there's probably different definitions that people resonate with, but for me the higher self is you, because it's self on a higher dimension. So higher self, it's you on a higher dimensional plane. Usually for most people, we really identify with the higher self on the fifth dimension, I feel. Mm-hmm. Because that's where the information is usually the most practical. Sometimes when you get too far beyond that, it starts to become a little bit too etheric or difficult to hold. So for me, I resonate with the higher self being a largely fifth dimensional and kind of the part also of our oversoul where there's lots of information from the Akashic available. There's lots of different aspects of our past lives available, future lives. So that's kind of what I see the higher self to be.
Awesome.
Kind of like it's almost like a conglomerate that I see on the dimension. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Some people think, well, you're talking to the universe, you're talking to different aspects of you. I've recently understand now that some of the guides I talk to are actually other versions of me that I'm talking to from like another timeline or something like that. It's just
That's a big one.
So complicated. But you can simplify it by going, it's all you. There's nothing scary about connecting to angels or guides. They're not, they're all aspects of you. There's nothing separate from you. So, yeah.
That's a big one. And who better to help you than you? I mean, really, they have invested interest in you evolving. When you evolve, they evolve.
Yeah, totally. Okay, so let's get down into the deeper questions now. Okay, so I always feel like I'm going through these mini epiphanies and I'm going through these periods of contraction and then expansion. I go into a feminine state and I'm sort of confused and I'm in a more receptive state and I'm receiving lots of information. And it's really hard for me to be in that state in this society because I feel like we're forced to be in a masculine state all the time, which is so unhealthy. And there's nothing wrong with either. None is better than the other, but you know what I mean? We're just so forced to be in that productive mode all the time. So my question would be, how do we balance out those energies in this society, and how do we just cope with the changing times and our ever expanding consciousness?
Yeah. I know. I totally hear you, and I resonate with the being forced into the masculine state. The masculine state is very favored, and the masculine state for me really equals mind, which in so many people is overgrown and a weed now that constantly needs to be pulled and kept in check. But I think the number one thing is to really start pulling away from reality and just creating your own.
Yeah, that's good advice.
Like at the end of the day, like really just start to form your own opinions on things.
Yeah.
And you know, really just start investing more in what your higher self says and what you say as an individual, and less in what the collective say. You know, don't watch a lot of news. If you're really trying to segue out of that kind of energy, then don't subject yourself to it at all. Don't watch anything that's really violent. Don't watch the news, and really just get into yourself. Almost go into like cocoon mode, or on a bit of a kind of almost like a retreat where you really, honestly, what really helps too is fasting. I'm a really big proponent of fasting and cleaning up your diet, and even juice fasting, things like that. Really unplug yourself from reality and then develop yourself outside of it, and then kind of come back in, and it'll be different.
Yeah, and all those things too make you so much more sensitive and open up your psychic abilities. I find like people always forget the body is, that's how we interact with the world. So that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. How do you cope with the negativity of this world, like the news and the media trying to feed us lies and program us with fear? And how do you cope with all that?
I really thank my Aries energy a lot for that. I feel because it's sort of like the energy, it's like a warrior energy, it's Mars energy.
Yeah.
And I always pay attention, genuinely pay attention to how I feel. And if I'm starting to feel yucky, I'm starting to feel sad, I'm starting to feel confused, then I stop listening to it. I completely stop. And you have to listen to your heart and where you are, and you have to nurture yourself. And you have to have how you feel be a priority. And you have to protect yourself. You have to have boundaries for yourself. And you have to say, you know what, I am not going to go below neutral.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to go into guilt or shame or negativity. And if I am, I'm going to try and get back to neutral. You have to have that kind of discipline and boundaries, I feel.
Yeah, and that's where the sensitivity thing comes in, because then you can actually feel when you're feeling contracted. A lot of people, they're so numb from everything they're being presented with, from the freaking chemicals and the food and the air and everything. They don't even know when they're feeling bad. They're so used to feeling bad. So that's another reason why doing those fasts and doing those cleanses and meditating is so important, to get back in touch with your true self. So, okay. What's the future for humanity?
Wow. I love this question because I feel like it really illustrates a point. And I feel like the one thing that we really get mixed up on as people is we think that we share the same reality. We think that we share a collective future where maybe we're going to be put in FEMA camps, or maybe the comet is going to hit the Earth, or we think that we share kind of the same timeline. And the future for humanity is the future of your emotional state right now. It's the future of your coherence right now, because there is infinite numbers of parallel realities happening right now that you shift into based on your quality of energy right now. So your future, therefore, is completely based in you as an individual. I don't see a collective future. I see so many different timelines as a spectrum that you can tune into based on where you are. And I think that there are people who will experience a negative future that might be one of victimization or oppression, and I think that's a possibility. I also see futures that are of freedom and individuality and of growth and connection, and I think it's all based in where you want to put yourself. And that terrifies a lot of people because there's responsibility in that.
Yeah.
But that's how I deal with any kind of future. What's our future question is where are you today?
That makes so much sense. Like, you choose your reality. You choose what you want to focus on. You create whatever reality you want to or live in, basically. So yeah, I believe in that timeline theory too. Like, I don't know if the Earth is gonna go to shit or whatever, but I do believe that if people are choosing to stay in fear, then they'll split off into some other timeline, and it's hard for my mind to comprehend, but it makes sense to me on a weird intuitive level.
You have to like let go of everything you know sometimes. You have to suspend everything that you know sometimes to grasp it, but I see it happen with my clients all the time where they're like, why are all these people falling out of my life? I never hear from them again. I don't even know what's going on. And it's like, it's resonance.
Yeah.
Your future is all your resonance. And if someone is not resonant with who you are and where you're moving to, then it will not exist in your reality anymore. So
that just inspired the question for me. What do you feel about soulmates? Do you think they come into our lives and they teach us lessons, or like, what do you think about all that?
you mean like lovers or
anyone, anything, like twin flames, soulmates, like karmic lessons? Like, what's your opinion on all that?
So I feel like everything in every relationship kind of comes to us based on magnetic resonance of who we are, and all based on lessons that we need to learn. And every relationship that you have will reflect to you a quality of yourself or part of yourself that you need to know. So that's why I think that everything is in our life. Every relationship is there to bring us deeper into who we are. And I think that's also why soulmate relationships are the toughest. Is because they reflect to us everything that we are, including all of the bad stuff. So I think that all relationships are just a growing point. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe the same. Totally. Okay, so let's see. What is your main message? What do you want people to take from this interview, or in general? Or one of them. Because it's hard to pick one. It's hard to pick one.
I would say to invest in yourself, to really get to know your heart. I feel like anytime it comes to like a main message to do with me, it always comes back to the health of the heart and to investing in your heart. I feel like the moment that you really invest in placing your consciousness in your heart, everything will happen for you. Everything will happen for you. You know, the relationship that you want will come. You will finally feel a sense of purpose in your life that you've been missing, and you will be able to create the job that you want. If it was one thing that someone could take, it would be to please connect with your heart, surrender into your heart, learn how your heart feels, learn its language so you can navigate this world in the best way possible.
Very sound Pleiadian advice.
Very. What is yours?
Sorry?
What is yours?
My main message? Oh gosh, no one's ever asked me. Thank you. My main message would be something similar. Yeah, get in touch with your heart. Get in touch. The heart, I feel, is connected to your spirit. That's where you enter into your spirit, where you find your true self. Do the inner work. Like, work on get connected to your inner world, because anything that you want out externally, if you find it within you, then it will just manifest. Like, if you have relationship problems or financial problems, that's because you have some sort of blockage within your energy body. So I'm all about, energetic healing, and I view the world on a very holistic level. I don't view anything as separate from me, and if there's a problem externally, I fix it within me, and then I watch what happens without. And my life has just been like such a crazy dream from understanding this knowledge, and that's why I do what I do. Yeah. Okay. Fun questions. Ready? What if you could have a magic power? What would it be?
Oh.
And I know you already do have magic powers, because you're tapped into your psychic intuition, and those are like magic powers anyway. But if you could have any, like, what would you pick?
Right. Okay. I have to just say, like, the first thing that comes to my mind, I would be a mermaid whenever I wanted to be.
Awesome. That's so cool. Would you breathe underwater and just hang out with the fish?
Yeah. I feel like there's so much in the water, in our oceans, that is undiscovered. And I feel like we're all like space, but like there's so much in our oceans that we have no idea about.
That's so funny. Yesterday, I just made this video, and I was like, "You guys, you don't have to go to space to find alien animals. You can go into the deep jungle or the deep sea." And I was like talking about how much I love the deep sea. So that's funny to me. Okay. What is your happy place?
My
It can
happy place. Hmm. Like physically?
it can be either.
Hmm. My happy place is probably just, I'm so boring. My happy place would probably be like at home with my babe, like with my partner, um, just hanging out. That's my happy place.
Aw, well,
Probably.
that's the best thing, being in the company of
Yeah.
loved ones. That's what life's about. That's
Yeah.
cute.
Or with my friends, just hanging out, just connecting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What's the luckiest thing to ever happen to you?
Oh my God. Okay, so I think that luck can sometimes be disguised as bad luck. And yeah, and so like literally this one time, 2012 was a really transformational year for me. And I was laying in a clover patch, and I just like looked down, and I saw, like, I'm not kidding, I saw one four-leaf clover
Oh,
and one five-leaf clover, and the five-leaf clover had four leaves and then a fifth one in the center.
weird.
Yeah, and I was like, man, I'm gonna get it. Like the most amazing things are gonna happen to me. Like this is gonna be amazing. And I like took the clothes. I was like showing them off to people, like you know,
Wow.
proud. And then literally a couple weeks later, I broke up with the person that I was with in like a really awkward, strange, terrible way. I suddenly had a mortgage to pay for on my own.
Hmm.
The friends that I had, like basically, we weren't connected anymore. They kind of went out with the person that I was with, and I felt like the Clovers were like mocking me.
Oh,
It was like I felt like it was a sick joke, like
yeah.
from the. And then 2 years later, or 3 years later now, I realized that in one fell swoop, everything in my life had left in order to have a much better life. And through being under such financial pressure, I learned to create a really successful business.
Hmm.
And because I was in such a bad relationship, terrible relationship, I learned to love myself and value myself. And because I had friends that I wasn't really connecting with, I learned how important it was to have friends that you do connect with.
Hmm.
So I would say that my most luckiest time came from like the greatest sense of loss that I've ever had in my life.
Wow. Very good
It's kind of
advice.
it's
That
kind of a deep thing, but
that's good for people to hear though, because some people they get so caught up in what's happening to them, and they forget to look at the bigger picture and realize that it's all growth. Even the bad stuff is good for you. So yeah,
mhm.
very good advice.
Yeah.
Okay, last question will be, what impact do you want to leave on this world?
The impact that I would want to leave in this world would hopefully be to make esoteric things, metaphysical things, less weird and less out there and more integrated and more grounded into who we are. To take them to take it from being something that's outside of you and maybe kind of strange or weird, and make it practical or easier to digest. Hopefully, that's what I would hopefully like to leave behind.
Wonderful. Okay, well, thank you so much for chatting with me, and I had a wonderful time. And yeah, I'll see you again one day, or chat to you again one day soon.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Okay. Have a great day.
You too.
Is it sunny?
Bye.
Is it sunny over there?
No,
No. Are you
no,
where are you? Toronto?
I'm like about 45 minutes southwest of Toronto. Yeah.
Oh, cool. It's a little bit sunny here. Does it get super hot there?
Not lately. It usually does, but the last 3 summers have been very mild. So,
It's
yeah.
like deathly here. It's so hot. It's ridiculous.
Really?
Yeah, and
And
we've been having so many forest fires. Like this, the sun was pink the other day because the sky was covered in smoke. So
oh, and where are you? You're like in
Vancouver,
Vancouver?
yeah, Vancouver, around there. Well, Coquitlam.
Okay, yeah, we used to have the forest fires as well. I'm from the Okanagan Valley.
Oh,
So it's
wow.
like the desert, and yeah, it was like you'd look so forward to summer, and then it's just like smoke and.
Yeah, and you can't have fires when you're camping, and it sucks. But what can you do? It's dangerous. But
Yeah, that's
yeah.
true.
Okay, I guess I won't keep you. I'll let you go. So it was nice to talk to you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.